Hello everybody, it's Sarah here. Today I want to film a very short videos and tell you everything I do to hatch medaka eggs. A lot of you buy medaka eggs on eBay or online, and they usually come in a container that's about this size or a little bit bigger, and they will have methylene blue in there, diluted methylene blue water to prevent mold growing with the eggs. So let's say you're a customer, you receive these eggs. The first thing you want to do is put it inside and make sure that it naturally cools down to the room temperature. The second thing you want to do is prepare all the necessities that you need for hatching medaka eggs. The first thing is a container. This container should be pretty wide and it should have a flat bottom so the eggs don't fly don't go around and then get into this huge chunk. And also, you want it to be half transparent or transparent. You just don't want to use a very dark container, simply because when the container is transparent, it's easier for you to observe the eggs development. So let's see if my phone can zoom into that close, but you see some fries there, and you see eggs, for example, a couple ones right there with eyes developing in them. And let's see if I can find a moldy one. This batch is actually pretty good, so I don't think there's any moldy ones in there. But when you have a half transparent container, you can always put this container against a dark surface to see if there's any moldy eggs, because the mold will make the eggs turn white, and it's easier to spot in a transparent container against a dark surface. Okay, second thing you need is a bottle of methylene blue. You really just need half a drop of methylene blue in this 500 milliliter of drinking water. The goal is just to turn the water into this kind of color. It's a slightly darker blue, but it will turn light when you put it into the container. And I usually just use drinking water. I've used some tap water before, but I think I see a slight higher hatching rate when I use just pure drinking water. Okay, and then another thing you need is a tweezer. It can be very, very cheap tweezers. The reason why you need it is when you're separating eggs, you really don't want to transfer any of your bacteria on your hands onto the eggs. All right. Now that you have everything and you mix the diluted methylene blue water, you want to pour about an inch of the water in here. Right now I have it like about half an inch, but it works better when you have an inch of water. For example, this one will have an inch of water in there. And then you want to carefully pour the eggs in there. Just pour it in now that it's cooled down to room temperature. And you want to use your tweezers. Preferably if you have two of them, then you can work with both hands. You want to separate the eggs so that they're not together, basically. So if you can see that all of my eggs, or most of them, are separated from each other with a slight distance in between them. This is to prevent that if any of them are infertile and they grow mold later, that it's not going to transfer to the other eggs. So for example, the ones right there, I would have separated them, but just because there are only like maybe 5 of them together, so I don't bother to separate them. But usually when it comes in a small container like this, you have about 20 to 30 of them all stuck together. That's when you really want to separate them out together. All right, now that you have everything together, you find a good location for this container. It doesn't have to be next to the window or anything. It just needs to be in a place where you don't bump into it that much. Because when you bump into this container, the eggs will have a tendency to just get together, basically. They kind of like to stuck with each other. And then you want to do spot clean. What I do is I have a turkey baster, which I don't have it next to me right now. I will spot clean, so I won't touch the eggs, but for example, there's like a dying fly there. I will spot clean it out, and also some random dirt, probably just like being floating around in the air. I'll spot clean them, and just add some new methylene blue water in there. The trick is to make sure the temperature are exactly the same so you don't kill the fry. but actually medaka fries and eggs are very hardy. So even if you add different temperature of water in there, most likely they're not gonna die. But we just want to be careful. Depends on where you actually put the eggs. Sometimes if I want the eggs to hatch a little bit faster, I will put them in a hotter place like my garage. And if you just put them inside, they usually hatch within 2 weeks. If you put them in a very warm place such as the garage, it will have a tendency to grow more mold, so hence killing more eggs, but most of them will hatch within a week. So there's kind of a pros and cons in that. And that's pretty much it. That's how I usually hatch my medaka. And thanks for tuning in.